5:38 for December 13th, 2023. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, new business, approval of the November 29th Selectmen meeting minutes. That includes one set of non-public minutes. May I have a motion?
It's all you, Jim.
Yes.
Make a motion
I'll make a motion.
to approve the minutes of November 29th.
I make a motion to approve.
You got a
Can I-
second?
I'll second that.
Discussion.
I'm good.
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 Call to a vote.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Approval of the December 13 consent file. This includes review and sign manifests in the amount of $186,064.11 and $10,671.01. And that includes accounts payable and payroll manifests for 12/6, 12/13, and 12/13. Review and approve or deny a notice of intent to cut in the town forest on Bald Hill Road, map 7, lot 117 and 118. Review and approve and sign contract agreement for the salvage of timbering of town forest on Bald Hill Road. Review and approve or deny local approval of construction of an individual sewage disposal system for map 9, lot 139 on Moatview Drive. Can I have a motion to approve?
I make a
consent
motion
file?
to approve the consent file.
I second it.
Any discussion on any of the items?
No. No.
Call it to a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Review, discuss, and approve or deny a request for a waiver of the parking violations. This item was tabled on 11/29. Did everybody have a chance to review
Yep.
the documentation?
I did.
So I'll make a motion to waive the parking violations for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, I don't believe, the number of tickets that are written down there, just because there's 6 cars
Yep.
and not all 6 have a ticket on it.
Yep.
We don't have times when those other cars showed up. We don't know the circumstances,
That's
but
right.
I believe the sheriff's department does.
I do too.
And I have to back to Blue and say that they've been doing this for a long time. The picture shows that the vehicle was in front of the gate, and I don't believe that it's a citizen who can make the decision whether there's enough room or not.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know. Yeah.
Just because he thinks he measures it and there should be
Something
enough
through
room.
doesn't mean they don't need to stage more equipment or the
Right.
amount of vehicles coming there. Yeah.
And he gets a big fire apparatus or rescue vehicle that's in a hurry and has to get through there and has to worry about vehicles that
Maneuvering around.
maneuver
them.
around. I feel that, unfortunately, at least one of those fines, they said that no one else had a ticket, so they thought it was okay to park there. Well, there's clearly a no parking sign
And it's
off
not
the bumper of the vehicle.
just one day out of the year. Kelly provided us with the other tickets that were given out at that same location. There was numerous of them.
I think they are. I think he also, after speaking to Deputy Rowe, who wrote most of all of these tickets this year. I didn't check last year, but I think he's being more. I think he's watching that more because it is the staging area for any rescues on the back of Mount Chicora. It is the access to access the back of Chicora for all emergency services. It is their staging area. And he can't remember if it was 21 or 22, they had to tow 2 cars out of there to get apparatus in there.
Yeah.
Right.
And they just don't want
In
to be
an
faced
emergency,
with that.
we don't
Yeah.
have that kind of
If
time.
I or a family is up there,
Right.
I would rather not have to tow things down the way.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
to think these people are
Time.
hiking up there, it's for their own protection.
Correct.
And there's proper signage. I mean, there's don't block gates and bars. There's no parking on. I mean, these people parked in front of the don't block gates and bars and in
Maybe
front
there
of the
should
no
be
parking.
no parking signs, period, and I don't know if we have the authority to do that, but
Well, that's where I get confused about it, because it's a national forest.
it's a fine line between
We have to,
national forest and the
right,
town of Albany.
and we have to be the bearer of bad news when it comes to these tickets. I'm sure they can still go to court and fight it if they want. We're not the final line. If they want to push it further and talk to the sheriff's department and see if they can get it taken care of in court with a court decision, I don't know. I'm just saying that,
I think we're all in agreement here.
you know,
Call it to a vote. I vote no.
no to
Waiving.
Waive.
the waive. I vote no. No.
No. No. No, no, no.
Okay.
Review and discuss the draft 2024 budget and warrant.
I'm gonna take that out of order and finish up the rest of the stuff.
Sure. Town administrator report.
So I put the audit agreement in for the next 3 years. I don't believe any of you are here. The first year I was here, I put the auditing services out to bid for 2021-22 and had him include an ability to do it for 3 more years. And I really like them, and they're really handy all the rest of the year, because I can call them and, hey, how do you want me to book this? And
Yep.
they're very responsive. And I don't think, so
Their price is fantastic.
yeah, their prices, well, I did put it out to bid, and I think we got, I want to say we got 5 responses, and they were not the lowest, but they were the second lowest, and I had worked with them in other towns, and it was like $7,750, $7,981. So the next 3 years are at $8,250, and
That's a good price.
so I had them give you a 3-year contract this time instead of year by year, and then at the end of 3 years, we can decide if we'll put it out to bid or we're staying with them. And, yep. So I'm happy with their services, and they do a good job for us. Do you want to make a motion to sign the
I
contract?
make a motion to sign the contract to continue the use of Robertson Green for 2023 audit and for the next 3 years.
25.
I'll second that.
Call to a vote. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
So at the last meeting, we talked about getting rid of the obsolete AED because it couldn't even be upgraded anymore, and you said that that was fine and that you wanted me to talk to the fire chief about replacing it. And so I got the name of the company that he recommended, and I went on their website and I pulled off the 2 that seemed, so there was a small business one and then a corporate package. The only difference is the corporate package comes with like another package of pads for the chest, and honestly we don't use it so much that I think it's worth the extra like $130 or something. So it's $1,285 for the small business pack, and he did recommend that we get one that has a cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's
That way
$50
available in the
more for an
hallway.
alarm on the cabinet. I didn't think we needed an alarm because people will be here when, and I thought we'd mount it in the meeting room because that's where we have the most people.
But this is most used.
That's true.
Aye.
Yeah, I just have to figure out a way with the
We had an
ballot.
incident
With the
years
voting
back.
booths here, we don't, have the voting booths always lived in our hallway?
No.
Cause yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a place to put it out there. I'm not
Maybe
sure.
on the wall above the end of the bench here or
Yeah.
something.
We'll figure out something.
But
All right,
yes,
so
yes,
mount it in the hallway.
Move forward with that.
Okay.
Does anyone
And
agree with
can
that?
I,
Yes.
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
okay if I put it against that warrant article for the 20,000 of improvements to town hall?
Yeah.
So we've only spent $14,148. So there's $5,852 left. We have spent the whole 12 or was it 12 or 14 we decided to take out of? We have spent that, the 14 I think it was. 20,000 for town hall improvements and 14 coming from the town hall capital reserve fund. But this qualifies for improvements, so.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why we worded it that way, so if
Yeah.
something like this came about.
Well, we had good ideas about landscaping, but then the thing for the furnace, for the air conditioning,
Yeah.
wound up.
And anything left over from that warrant article has to go back into the capital reserve.
It doesn't ever come out.
Okay.
I thought
You're
it
just
was-
pulling out
And we've
whatever we
already
spent.
pulled out, we've pulled out, so the warrant article is 20 with 14 to come from that, we've already pulled out that 14. So if we don't spend all the 20, it just doesn't ever get done. It drops in unassigned fund balance really.
You weren't gonna encumber that? Try to
It's up
do
to
it
you.
next
I don't
year?
think you can encumber a warrant article, you can only encumber operating budget money.
Right.
So that's gonna drop into unassigned fund balance. It'll be available, so we'll have a conversation
a
about that
create-
during budget, because like,
You can do a warrant article and offset it with the unreserved fund balance.
because like I'm gonna talk to you about this during the budget. We got $10,000 as a one-time bump in our highway block grant money. You can't put highway block grant money into the capital reserve or an expendable trust, but you can put an amount equal to that, because that's gonna drop into unassigned fund balance as an unanticipated revenue. So we're gonna return the 90,000 from the flood from fund balance, because our fund balance was so healthy, and we can just add another 10 to that
Correct.
and build that highway expendable trust back up. So yes, there is a way to do that, but you can't call it that money. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, but we just did it the other day somewhere else. We encumbered the warrant.
You can't encumber warrant.
I believe you more than I believe them.
You can only encumber operating budget money.
Yeah. Good to know.
A warrant article is a one-time for that year, unless you can also put it as a special warrant article and state, to rebuild Town Hall Road for $200,000 by December 31st, 2025, or whichever comes first. But we did not do that. If you don't put that in the
No.
warrant articles end December
Okay.
31st, and they can't be encumbered. You can raise it again the next year.
I've got some explaining to do then. That's good. I like that.
Somebody should go to the budget. They have a really good budget every year. NHMA puts it on, and
They really
and they
do.
give you. When I first started doing this, I went to that every single year, because little
Yeah.
things change it, and new things people.
And your
NHMA
network
sees people
and-
doing stuff wrong, and then they say, "Hey, some people are doing this. You can't do that."
Because that will be disallowed by
DRA. Yeah, and that's not the time you want to find out is when you're setting your
Always
tax
been
rate.
doing it, so I don't know. We've always been.
And I said this to somebody not too long ago. Just because your predecessor did it doesn't mean they did it right.
Right.
Always check.
Right.
And I call DRA all the time. Michelle Clark is sick of hearing from me because I don't want to do it wrong.
She is. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I go, it's your pain in the butt again.
She's calling to set our tax rate, and I'm waiting. She goes, "I'll call you in 5 minutes." It was like 45 minutes long. She finally called. I said, that was the longest 5 minutes of my life. She's probably talking to you. She didn't tell me that, though. All right.
Skip over
So,
Curtis.
meet with the road agent. He didn't get the message.
He said he'd come at 6, but if you want to move on, I
Yeah, let's
have
move
a
on.
little bit of. Under the chapel, I talked to the town attorney to see what the chapel is going to cost us, because we can encumber the legal money from the operating budget to cover this.
Yeah.
He said he doesn't think it'll take 5,000, but that's what he'd encumber, because we got to go to court over it still.
Right.
So that's also my list for encumbering. And then I have nothing new on the
Nothing on the.
nothing new on the Route
16.
16 project, but Nick Altanaga called me today, and he wanted me to ask you guys, which I thought it was very timely. They've been talking to HEB about writing a grant for the 113-16, and they've come up with 3 things. The first thing is, hey Curtis. The first thing is adding a turn lane and improving line of sight and realigning the intersection, which I think is what you basically talked about. The second would be traffic control light and a turn lane, and the third choice would be a roundabout, which I kind of get the feeling you guys are not huge fans of. So they're kind of looking from you, is there any one of those things you would kind of throw out of the mix right now? Or if not, could you rank them? And I said, I think you kind of have them ranked the way you set them. I mean, I think HEB is kind of ranking that. I mean, The problem with the intersection at 16 and 113 is there's a bridge there. It might encroach on Coleman's property. Like anytime they had to take lane,
Don't let us have it.
to improve the line of sight and realign that intersection, that's gonna take a minute. You know, that's gonna take that bridge work and potentially property, whether from Coleman or from somebody else. So, I don't know, is there one you wanna throw out, because you don't wanna consider it at all? Or do you wanna let them kinda go through the
I'm
process?
just afraid a turning lane's not enough. It'd be a good.
A turning lane with a light.
It'd be well, I thought the second one was a light.
No, the first one is adding a turn lane, improving the line of sight, and realigning the intersection. All three of those things is choice one. Choice two is adding a turn lane and a traffic control light, which means it would change. It wouldn't just be a blinking yellow light. Mm-hmm. And then the third thing would be a roundabout.
I don't think there's room there for a roundabout. An engineer might
I don't know how
find
it could
it.
be picked without seeing how it all gets put together. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, the problem is though, we don't have the money to do the engineering on all
Right.
three, so you kind of have to guess which one would make it the safest. That probably would be the first one, and it probably will be the most money too.
So the worst problem at that intersection is line of sight, is visibility coming up over the hill. And so if you put a turning lane or a light there, it doesn't really solve the line of sight, so you're gonna just.
Yeah, I think the realignment of the intersection, because that offset seems to be a big part of the problem. And the line of sight.
2 cents?
We're talking about 113 and 16
Yeah.
by us.
Yeah.
They talked, last time that I had heard from the state about this is they were gonna cut that hill down by what we call the hillside building, the maroon building. They're gonna cut the elevation of that down 15 feet. They're gonna take a 90 and kind of come up, and it needs to have a light.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be, I mean, if you put a turning lane, I mean, it's that really needs a light.
It needs a
But
a turning lane with a
But you
light.
can't put a light at the bottom of the hill that you can't see, so
Right.
they need a light, and they need to take that, they
So
need to take the hill out.
cutting the hill improves the line of sight.
Mhm.
Cutting the hill would totally improve the line of sight, and then they could put in a traffic light.
And you keep people from sliding past the intersection coming
Yeah.
down the hill.
I think that, I don't see how they could ever fit a roundabout in
No,
there.
I don't either. I like the idea because it slows the traffic, but
Right.
I
It's
think
just-
you'd get more
You
confused.
can't even get a roundabout in the four corners at North Conway, you know, let alone.
And the truck traffic around that would be bad.
So you wouldn't really need, basically, if you could improve the line of sight, you wouldn't really need a turning lane because you wouldn't.
No, you need a turning lane.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Oh, you would
yeah.
still. So you would cut
People
the hill to
people
improve-
use a turn.
They're-
They kind of use it as a turning lane now. They stop when they shouldn't.
They could get a turning lane.
Yeah.
So you're talking cut the hill
Yeah.
15
Fix the
feet,
line of sight.
which improves the line of sight, and then a light with a turning lane.
Yes.
Okay, so all three of them.
Because a turning lane, usually you only have to come up with like 15 more feet. So that's 7.5 feet on each side. So they take a little on Wildwood side, they take a little on our side. And then with their existing right of way that they have there, I think they could probably do it. It's like the car wash, like we had to put a turning lane in going to the car wash.
Yeah.
Well, all it really did is like add 7 feet on the shoulder,
Yeah.
like
Right.
on each side, right? So it just
Yeah.
kind of, so I don't think it's as big of a deal as. And for years, I mean, a UPS man was killed there
Yeah.
20 years ago, and they talked about like need to do something about this intersection, you know, and that was always the thought process. So.
The other part that then HEB might not be looking at is they wanted to align it more with Wildwood. So that it coming out of Wildwood, they're part of the light situation.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Well, that's the
that would move
realigning
it-
of the
That
intersection.
would move the intersection down to where it's flatter in the first place. So you got to remember that Wildwood's got to be part of the.
So you want all four of those things, basically.
Well, I think the second one, the turning lane and the light, but wherever they skew the entrance, it should go further down the hill.
Well, but the second one doesn't include improving the line of sight. So what you're saying is a hybrid of cut the hill,
Yeah.
add a light, add a turning lane, and realign the intersection. So you're really saying 2 and 3,
Yeah.
or 1 and 2. Okay. I will let
Realign the intersection, realign 113, which whatever land that they would
Right.
take from us on one side, we would gain on the other probably.
Yeah.
So, but we would sacrifice a lot to have us.
to not have
Yeah,
your
that's a-
employees dying.
Well,
Yeah.
that's parking, so it's not like
And your
they're taking a
trucks,
building or anything.
Right, you're
Do
right.
you, that's where your trucks come out of too, right?
Well, we try not to. They come out of the upper one, so we try not to come out that way. But yeah, sometimes they do.
Because I gotta imagine, they sit up higher so their line of sight is better, but they're slower.
It's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous intersection.
Yeah, and if you hit a Coleman truck, it's not like hitting,
Well, whatever. There's all kinds of big trucks too. I mean, there's all kinds of
Yeah,
trucks.
it wasn't too long ago, we had an employee that was leaving at the end of the day, and a crane was headed north, and got him.
Yeah, dude.
it's scary, it really is. But it's not the only place on 16 that's scary, obviously after today.
Yep.
Okay, so that's all, that's what
Okay.
I,
Other
thank you.
business board reports, planning board, anything?
I
for
didn't
me?
make it. Maybe Curtis, anything
Anything?
It
going
was very quick. There was nothing on the agenda.
Okay.
So.
Anybody got anything else?
No.
Nothing like that. Correspondence, review, discuss letter from superintendent of schools regarding polling times for March 12th town meeting day. Polls were open 10 to 6, and the school district meeting starts at 7, as it does every year. Review and discuss letter from Attorney General's office regarding the Albany Historical Society. Basically, it's defunct,
Defunct.
so, well, yeah,
there's nobody to...
we've got a written legal thing that not to spend town legal funds
Yeah.
on fixing that, because that was
So-
not under our,
I think we need to write a letter and just
just
say
tell
it's,
them
it's defunct and there's nobody left. And, you know, there's still funds, they still hold funds.
which I think Arthur was gonna go. I'm pretty sure there's been no movement in 5 years, they take them. They get the bank surrenders them to
Yeah.
the state.
Yeah. So
right,
anyways,
I'll
I
write-
think we should write a letter and just
Okay.
let them know the situation. Maybe they can direct us somehow.
Okay.
Review and discuss annual report from Mount Washington Valley Economic Council. And they're still looking for an Albany representative. Review and discuss letter from New Hampshire Rivers Management Advisory Committee. Kathleen Carrier has resigned as a member. The committee is looking for another Albany representative.
What about sending that to the Conservation Commission to see if there's
Sure.
anybody on there or if they know anybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good idea. Review and discuss letter from DOT regarding one-time bridge payment for 2023 in the amount of $12,626.95. Review and discuss letter from Charter Communications regarding quarterly franchise fee.
So our quarterly franchise fees for this year came to $6,529.70,
Okay.
which I have reported to Bill, because
Okay.
that'll be the amount.
Okay, he hasn't been in touch, but yep, okay.
I hope he rounds it, but that, I mean, that'll be what he's asking for, so,
Yep.
just so you know.
So the only thing I have to say is about the bridge payment and the one-time bridge payment and the one-time highway. We have to hold a public hearing in order to accept those as unanticipated revenue.
Under 3195B,
So
so.
therefore, it's not restricted to the budget, or it won't go away after year round. We can still spend it into the new year. But we first have to accept it, and we have to hold a public hearing in case somebody has...
Do you want me to try to do
ask.
that for the next meeting?
Yeah, it'd be
The
nice
27th.
before the end of this year, because if it goes into next year, then it's anticipated,
No.
Okay.
because we already have it, and we'll have to budget for it. We don't want to do that.
I don't know if I have enough time to get because it's only 2 weeks. What do we need, 10 days?
I think it's 10 days.
Okay. And then I will send it to you because the $12,626.95 can only be used on bridges. So
Do
we're
we have any
back.
bridge money
It's
left?
with that other, yeah, he only spent, what'd you spend on the guardrails, 4,200? 8,200?
8,200.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still have, I think, 4,000 or
Yeah.
5,000
And now we have some more.
And now we have 12.
How much in highway funds?
That one time
Mm-hmm.
check was 10,000 and some change.
Okay.
So, and again, I was gonna recommend that an amount equal to that 10,000 get added to the highway expendable trust, because with the money we moved, the 90,000 we moved out of expendable trust into the operating budget to make up for the flood money, leaves that with only, I think, $16,000 left in it, and that is not enough to be carried in the highway expendable trust fund. So if we take the 90,000 from fund balance, which is perfectly healthy, and then another 10 or so, even more if you need to, we'll see what other warrant articles you want to fund with fund balance, but you're at 25% right now, so you definitely have some money you can move back into those. And I think also, the town hall capital reserve fund is kind of low too. So we'll take a look at all the, for the next meeting, I'll have the balance and all the capital reserve funds available for you from the trustees too.
Okay. And anything you think we should encumber?
Yes, I've already made that list.
Okay.
So we'll have a public hearing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that meeting after Christmas, the 27th, I will have a budget. I'll have a 3195B public hearing on both those together.
Okay.
And then we have to vote, you have to vote on any encumbrances before December 31st. Those are the two things you have to do for the end of the year, and then whatever else we have on the agenda.
Okay.
All right. Just a note that I have to excuse myself in 10 minutes to attend another meeting. But we're meeting with road agent Curtis Coleman to review 2023 and discuss the 2024 budget and warrant article needs.
So I figure we do a warrant article. I would like to do a warrant article for $100,000 to do paving on Cook Farm and Ridgeview, and to finish some of the paving, finish the spots where I was unable to finish on Pascoe Road,
Okay.
which is minimal, but
Weren't you going to continue on Pascoe as well?
yeah. I mean, when I say yeah,
Okay.
yes. I mean, we have another 500 tons or so.
Okay.
I mean, we weren't gonna pave all the way out. We were just paving the bad spots.
Yeah.
So, which we paved 99% of the bad spots.
Can we get at least beyond all the residents?
Yeah, well, what residents?
Like the houses. I mean, before it gets to like national forest.
Yeah, so the real bad spot was, we got obviously from the town line to the bridge past the carriers. That's all done. So that was a huge thing. So that was by far the worst part. And then we jumped on by the Narrows. We paved there and then out through and got to almost to the abandoned house. Yeah, past that to the abandoned house. So
All right.
we there's not much left that was in really bad shape.
Okay.
So yeah, we did really well. R&D paving did
Yeah.
it. They did a fantastic job. So.
Good.
So then this warrant article would allow us to do all of Cook Farm and all of Ridgeview, and then do some others with my other budget also.
Right.
So,
Okay.
which, talking about my other budget, I'm gonna have some money left over, so I don't know how you all wanna deal
We're
with
gonna
that.
encumber
Do
it.
we wanna encumber it and, encumber it and put it in the highway trust fund, or encumber it and save it for paving? I don't know.
I mean, what else do you have?
You
to
might
do?
just want to, since we're gonna be putting a hunk of change into the expendable trust fund, what you might wanna do is either raise the 100,000 for paving for 2024 from expendable trust too, or from unassigned fund balance, and then put another 100 into, that would only be 200, and you're sitting at 527.
So you're saying to basically raise and appropriate $200,000.
No, you're gonna have two separate warrant articles. You're gonna have the one to put $100,000 back in the expendable trust from fund balance, and one to continue paving operations, highway maintenance operations, for
Also-
$100,000, also from December 31st fund balance.
Okay,
So you're saying not to encumber what's left in my budget and just
No, just
go
let it fall into
general?
unassigned fund balance, and then when,
we're basically
Yeah.
turning it around.
It's the
Which
same-
is what we usually do.
it's the same money, it's just, you're skipping a step. You're
Yeah.
not putting it into
Okay.
expendable trust before you remove
Yeah,
it.
I would agree to that.
Sounds good.
Anything else that we don't know about happening next year that we should
Next year, like
Yeah.
major projects?
hang on to our hats for? Yeah, any surprises?
Nothing that, we don't see any big projects.
And are you increasing your operating budget in 2024?
By $10,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
But by the cost of asphalt and,
Yeah, I just did
Gas
that
and-
to try to deal with
course.
the cost of the asphalt escalation.
Of course.
so.
Of course.
and salt and sand. Salt is like,
Oh, I know.
salt is scary to look at.
Yeah.
Will you be able to paint, because I know this year you were gonna use some of that bridge, earmarked bridge money to paint the covered bridge.
Ye-
Do you think you can get that done in the spring?
Yeah, yes.
When the weather
I tried to do it in the fall, but that was,
Yeah, I think,
I didn't quite think that through. With
Well, the
amount of
weather-
people that are in it, they probably wouldn't have wanted us to be spraying the inside of the bridge, so, with the foliage,
Yeah.
but, no, we'll do
Getting
that.
married and.
We'll do that,
Dresses.
yeah.
well, the thing is, you keep it closed too, because you got the piles of snow on it. Because
Right.
I start to get those calls of, when are you gonna open the bridge?
Yeah.
When the snow's gone.
Yeah.
Dude, we're not gonna plow the snow out of the bridge.
No,
You
no.
use it.
Well, we'll do that. I mean, so we're gonna do that as soon as we can gain access to it. And then, right, it will still be locked off, so it'll be a lot easier. And all we do, if you're not familiar, we spray the inside of the bridge over all the graffiti and carvings. So,
How often do you have to do it?
kind of every 5 years.
And it's delightful on year number 5.
Yeah, it's, I don't really understand the whole graffiti and all that stuff, but if the way I look at it is if we keep it off there, people are less likely to do it.
Correct.
It's kind of like the bridges,
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's just, it's kind of ignorance follows ignorance, so.
Mhm. All right. That sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
See ya.
See ya.
5 minutes on the budget? 5 minutes. 5.
So if
Do you want to do the warrant?
I just want to, no, I don't. If we could just go over departments, and we'll start with executive. Town administrator has a 3% increase. That's about it.
About it.
Is everybody in agreement with 3%?
Do you guys want to raise? I
No,
meant to ask that.
I mean, I won't be here, but,
No, I think we're good. So, I mean,
good. Next.
we're right in line with everyone
Is
else.
everybody good with 3% for the town administrator?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Let's go on to treasurer. Her salary remains the same. Deputy, same. Everything's looking, oh no, they went down for the bank and post office for the travel. Okay. That looks good to me.
Mhm.
Town clerk tax collector, 3% increase for the town clerk.
The deputy went down more, even though we given her a 3% raise, it went down because we took her back to hourly
Yep.
this year.
Okay.
So we actually budgeted way more
Okay.
this year than what she's going to spend. So
Okay.
that 13 is
Great.
down, and but also gives her a 3% raise.
Yep. And we can take a look at it again next year, or you can take a look at it again next year.
No, you're gonna
I'm not going to be.
you're gonna win that rating.
So software support, that looks great, based upon estimates that you received, maybe?
I think one we got a written estimate, and I think the other one we just added 2% to
Okay.
because it comes in late in the year.
Then we go into their supplies.
I'm a little worried about her supplies because
Yeah.
she's not done for the year and she's already overexpended and she only budgeted the same amount. I don't
Yeah.
really. I'm gonna I'm gonna question that with
Okay.
her because I don't think
Same thing
she,
with postage, question her on that.
yeah, I don't think she understood, how much that
Recordings,
was
that
gonna
looks good. That increase is fine with me. If you guys,
No,
We're
we'll
looking at
stop
something.
you.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm going.
you know, stop me. And then travel, she's over on travel? Or is that, yeah, that needs to be rearranged. Recertification and conferences, staying the same. I'd like to see a calculation of what she plans to attend. Cause we could lower that a bit if she only spent $1,300 and she's done for the year. Again, anybody please stop me. Election, we have 4 elections this year, Kelly, not 3. We have
you're
presidential
counting that.
primary, we have town meeting, we have primary in September and another one in November. That's gonna have to be increased.
Okay, I'll do that math, because they never
Um,
give me anything.
And then we go into
And we,
finance.
just a side, if you look at the new line for travel for training, so they were required to take some training, that's why they
Yeah.
wanted to create this line, and they have not taken that training, just so you know, up front, because we
Yeah.
created that line and we budgeted for it. So I put that back to $1. If they've gotta take training, they've gotta let us know and
Yeah.
actually take it, so.
Yeah.
I'm happy to send
Agreed.
off an email, but,
Agreed, nope, leave it at $1.
okay.
So auditor, that's contract.
Yeah, that doesn't
Supplies.
include if the town clerk, tax collector leaves, because then we have to have an
Yeah.
interim
But we're
audit.
not gonna
But I don't
budget for
bu-
that.
I don't budget for that
Nope.
generally, so.
No, printing, town report in general.
I got a quote from him, so I'm good with that
Okay.
number.
Good, conferences.
He already signed up for the moderator, so that,
Okay,
I just
great.
haven't paid for that yet.
Great, small equipment, computer equipment,
So
those
we-
are all your estimates.
We're due to replace the town administrator's laptop, which I
Okay.
do use when I travel, so
Alright.
it's worth doing.
TAN document fee, I think we can remove that.
You wanna remove the
Mhm.
dollar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We haven't taken one
Return
in a long
check
time.
fees, you need that. Postage, that looks good. I'm wondering, you get enough prepaid stamped envelopes for the year?
I think so, because I
Okay.
just ordered, I have a box unopened and I ordered a box, and
Okay.
so I think we can make it a year without buying it.
Travel looks good. Recording expense, that looks great. Advertising, keep it there. Never know. Software support, level, a little bit higher in QuickBooks.
Yeah, we have to go to buying QuickBooks Pro every year now.
Okay.
They're not gonna do it every 3
Okay.
years, so now
It's
we have to
necessary.
update it
You're only
every
as good
year.
as your tools. All right, internet and telephone. Quite the increase there. Special town meeting, place $1 there. Engineering, we can remove. Reval property, software support.
He increased his contract from 17.5 to
Wow.
18.5.
He hasn't moved that, and I don't know how
I
long,
couldn't
so.
believe he did. And then I also included the other $500 for Peter for doing the timber.
Yeah,
It was only 110 this year, but we don't really know.
yeah.
The tax map update, so we signed the contract, so it's gonna be $12.19 a year.
Perfect.
I think what we do, because we didn't have any this year,
Yep.
I think we encumber the we are gonna encumber $12.19.
Sure.
So then we don't need to budget it. I mean, I guess I put $1 in it to keep the line item open,
Right.
but I think we'll have enough encumbered, because we didn't do anything this year,
Okay.
so we'll cut that down.
Town council lowered that, and legal tax deeding, the 5 that we had discussed before. Planning board is level, and planning board legal is at 1,000. And I don't know about you guys, but they've never used legal, ever. So I would like to drop that to $1.
And you said we have access to,
We can move money, we have the authority to move money out of our legal line to theirs, we can move money from anywhere
We
in our
have
budget.
access to someone to call.
Yeah, we have the free legal inquiry line for
Right.
generic stuff.
So we can use that.
Generic.
So we always,
Unless we get into something sticky,
Yeah.
where we need that individual, they're representing us
Right,
and our ordinances,
right.
that
makes
would
sense.
be it.
Yep.
But they still have access, if there's $1 in there, they can always overspend it, and then we can move money around in their budget. This $1,000 is just, it's a moot point to
and
me.
we're gonna
Right.
encumber the 5,000 for the chapel, so we're not even gonna touch our 7,500.
Correct.
Right.
We should be fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, zoning board, we've spent nothing, I wouldn't mind seeing that cut in half.
Just keep the member attendance in case we ever did get a full board.
Well, we'd have to advertise and everything, so I think you cut the whole thing in half.
Yeah.
So then you have something in all the lines in case there is. So what's happened here is before I came for 3 years, you didn't have a zoning board meeting. The second year I was here, you had 3 cases.
Mm-hmm.
So you had, you know, and then we've never had another one in 3 more years. So you can't predict when somebody's going to appeal,
Nope,
but
but there's money in there, and again, we can
Exactly.
move money around. It's not like we're
and
cutting it
it's
so
not
tight.
and it's not big money.
It's not
You
big
know,
money.
it's not going to be $10,000.
No.
So
Nope. Conservation Commission attendance, 2520,
So
when
they
they've only
went-
spent 1,400.
So they went from 5 members to 6, but it's funny because again, you know me in numbers. I
Yeah.
did the math.
Yeah,
I went back for the entire year because they get paid $35
yeah,
an attendance, and they do it at quarterly. So they had 5 members and only 3 showed up. The next quarter they had 5 members and 2 showed up, and then they had 6 members and 4 showed up. So they never all show up.
right.
So
Same thing with the planning board.
I understand I'm budgeting for a full
Right.
complement, but that isn't what
No,
happens.
I'd like to see that go back to $1,500. They haven't even spent that.
Well, we haven't paid the last quarter,
Fine,
which
we'll go down to
will-
$1,600.
again, if they show up, it isn't like we are going to pay them because the money isn't here. We'll overexpend it, and next year we'll add another $200.
Exactly.
And actually, the $1,000 for the operating expenses is ridiculous because
Absolutely ridiculous.
you know, I think 1 year they put $800 worth of gravel in the town forest
Yeah.
parking lot, but
Yeah,
they don't. They have that $10,000 and they won't spend that. Like,
yeah. Let's cut that in half to 500.
Good with that.
they'll be at your next meeting.
I don't care.
Okay.
Thought we just had them.
Oh.
Coming again?
They like us.
They'll come when they see this.
Let's see, electricity, you're anticipating, oh, so
I'm gonna go over.
that
I'm
doesn't
already
include
over.
December's bills, so.
No. I'm
Okay.
already over, so I
Okay.
anticipate that for next year and,
Okay.
um,
Building maintenance and repairs, why don't we stick another $9,000 in there? And that way you wanna crack seal the driveway or whatever needs to be done around here. Someday, if you keep it in the back of your mind, vinyl siding
this
would be good.
includes the
Furnace
cleaning lady and the weed whacking and
Exactly.
the furnace, there's a lot of built-in things that we pay
Exactly,
every year from this.
yep.
And not just, capital things.
And if there's an emergency like we had with the furnace, so it's necessary.
Well, like we lost part of the driveway one year and we had to
Yeah.
have him bring riprap in. and-
Yep. Cemeteries, level.
So they added 2 new
maintenance.
lines.
Yeah,
I can speak on that if you want me to.
sure.
So we inspected all these cemeteries.
Yeah.
And what's been happening is Grady's been doing his thing and
Yeah.
he needs more direction to get it better, which we're
Yeah.
gonna get him. But he's been doing the mowing and the weed whacking.
Yeah.
We got fences falling apart, we've got trees growing up in cemeteries.
Yeah.
We've got branches that are gonna fall and break stones. We've got stones laying on the ground, which to me is quite disrespectful
I
and,
agree.
and especially take up on the cank of the Passaconaway, Colbath place. there's tree stumps in the cemetery and there's a pile of logs. And so anyways, we looked at that and wanted to try to fix some of those fences and,
Did you
and
get
some-
quotes?
I've tried to get quotes for the headstones. They're gonna go out and give us a quote. We haven't got it yet, but I got an idea. They showed me what they were doing for Conway and some other towns.
Yep.
They'll give us a detail. This headstone
That'd be
cost this much money.
Right.
We took account of all the headstones. I took an average of what they were charging for headstones, and that's how I come up with the costs.
Okay.
To get
No,
started.
it's
Trying to do this.
it's nice to
We're on
have
like
a
3 or
group that
4 year
finally
plan to-
can, exactly, you know, make it happen, so I'm in favor of that.
Didn't we give money last year that they were gonna do some tree removal with
They
branches or
did.
something?
Yeah.
We did
Did it all
a
get done?
we did a $4,000 warrant article, I think. $4,000 for additional maintenance to town cemeteries, and they spent all of that. And
And that was what year?
Last year?
Last year, it came from the
Right.
capital reserve fund, from the expendable trust fund. And we haven't put any money in the expendable trust fund. I didn't understand when I came here that the purchase of the plots is supposed to go in there. So I think I'm earmarking $2,700 on the warrant to go in this year. And that would include what we sold in 21 and 22 and 23. I didn't sell anything in 20 or 21, I don't believe. There might be one more plot that gets sold this year. If that happens, then that number will go up. I'll put whatever and I am keeping track of it now. So, again, I'll have all those capital reserve and expendable trust numbers for you at the next meeting so that you can see if they're healthy or not.
Insurance, workers' comp, property liability, health
So I do have
insurance.
it not to exceed numbers. I
Right,
don't have the exact number
Of
because our
course, you
renewal
won't.
comes on July 1st.
Yes.
The workers' comp number is firm, but the rest are not to exceed
Yep.
numbers for 7/1 renewal. And sometimes it's a pinch less than that.
Yeah.
But it can't be more.
disability, dental and life. All look good,
I haven't gotten a number from North Country Council yet. That's the
Okay.
only reason that's blank.
that's fine.
I'm kind of waiting to see what they.
Everything else looks good. Ambulance is a contract. Sheriff's Department, is that with the 4 patrols a week from January?
Yeah, that's the most. If we start in April, it's like 49,000.
Okay.
But keep in mind that this doesn't include a lot of money for elections. So we do an 8-hour shift for elections.
Right.
So I might have to bump that up
Yep.
a little bit.
Yep, and we can discuss this again in 2 weeks. The
Yeah.
police, the sheriff's department,
Yep.
and that line item, if everybody is in agreement. Fire wardens, building permit administrator, that's good. Emergency management, that looks good. Highways and streets,
So this was Curtis's numbers.
that's Curtis's, it looks good.
So it looks like it's down from this
Yeah.
year because the 90,000 that we moved in is
Yeah.
in there. So,
Right,
but that is 10,000 more than what we did
yep.
last
We
year.
got solid waste to Town of Conway. Health officer, 1,200. We agreed to that last year for $100 a month. Animal control, 250. Because maybe we'll get one someday.
Did you run into the Conway one yet?
No.
Okay.
Welfare, direct assistance, $4,000. Culture and recreation, $27,164 to Conway Rec. Conway Public Library, level, $6,500. Patriotic purposes, $600. And then we go into tax anticipation. I think we should just, I don't know if you want to leave it. We could take it out. I mean, we're not going to need it now that we,
Yeah,
Buy
I mean,
annual tax.
if we're not gonna put it in
yeah, we
to
can
ever
take
do
it
it,
out.
then we might as well
That's
take
fine. And that's that. Then we have all our special articles, and I'd like to discuss that
it. Is a lot and stuff.
because I must excuse myself.
Have you guys had a chance to at least start to look at the warrant? And,
Yes.
Okay. All right, I will make those changes to the budget, get a new one out,
Okay.
and I'll send you the budget and warrant again for the next meeting.
I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:28 p.m.
second it.
Alrighty then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.